Hey everyone, and welcome to our masterclass on conquering tricky verb patterns. As an English teacher, I know firsthand that if you've ever found yourself pausing mid-sentence, just kind of wondering which little preposition is supposed to come next, well, you are in the exact right place. Today, we're taking a super common point of confusion for so many learners and, honestly, transforming it into your newest grammar superpower. So, let me ask you something. Are you afraid to make a mistake or are you afraid of making one? It's a really subtle shift, right? Just one tiny word changes, but mastering these subtle grammatical differences is absolutely crucial for clear, confident communication. The difference between to do and of doing is something that trips up so many people. I see it in my classes literally all the time. But don't worry, by the end of this lesson, you're going to know exactly which one to use without even breaking a sweat. Okay, let's look at our roadmap for today. First, we have the grammar challenge. Then, afraid, intentional versus accidental. Next is interested, general versus specific. Following that, sorry, timing is everything. Then we'll cover essential action patterns, and finally, wrap it up with the master review. Let's jump right into Section 1, the grammar challenge, conquering verb patterns after adjectives. And moving along to Section 2, afraid, intentional versus accidental, taking control of your actions. To make this totally unforgettable, I want you to picture a really simple analogy. A steering wheel versus a flat tire. Getting this grammar right isn't about guessing. It's about understanding the logic behind the words. If the action is intentional, meaning you actively don't want to do it because it's dangerous or you're scared of the result, you are holding the steering wheel. You are in complete control of whether you take that road or not. But if the action is accidental, a bad possibility that might just happen to you, like getting a flat tire, you aren't in direct control. You just fear the possibility of it happening. When I share this analogy with my students, it almost always creates this instant light bulb moment. Let's compare them directly. Afraid to do is your steering wheel. It's an intentional action you choose to avoid. On the flip side, afraid of doing is your flat tire. It's an accidental, bad possibility that you're just really hoping doesn't happen. It's all about intention. Are you choosing the action, or is the action happening to you? Let's dive into some real examples so you can actually feel the difference. Think about this sentence. Many people are afraid to walk alone at night. Try to visualize that steering wheel. Walking alone at night is an active choice. You're in control, and you might intentionally choose not to do it because you perceive it as dangerous or unsettling. Because you're making the conscious choice to avoid it, we use to walk. Here's another scenario. She was afraid to ask for a raise. Put yourself in her shoes for a second. Asking for a raise is an active, intentional choice. You're holding the steering wheel. She is scared of the result. Maybe her boss will say no, or the conversation's going to be super awkward, so she might choose not to ask. Because it's an intentional choice, it's afraid to ask. Now, let's flip over to the other side. He's afraid of losing his passport while traveling. Realize that losing a passport is exactly like a flat tire. It's an accidental, bad possibility that is completely outside your direct intentional control. I mean, nobody intentionally loses their passport, right? Because it's a feared accident, we use afraid of losing. The exact same logic applies to saying, I'm afraid of making a mistake in the report, or they were afraid of being late for the flight. You don't choose to be late, you just fear the accident of being late. Now, the really crucial point here is that you can actually combine both of these rules into a single sentence, blending the intentional choice with the accidental fear. This is where you sound incredibly natural. Listen to this. I was afraid to go near the dog because I was afraid of being bitten. You intentionally choose not to go near the dog. That's the steering wheel, because you fear the accident of a bite, which is the flat tire. Or think of it this way. She was afraid to drive on the icy roads because she was afraid of crashing. You avoid the intentional action to prevent the accidental result. Make sense? Okay, moving on to Section 3, interested, general versus specific. Exploring your interests. Just like we did with afraid, we're going to look at the logic behind the choice so you never have to guess again. Let's contrast general hobbies with specific reactions. We use the interested in doing pattern for broad general interests or when you are considering taking up an activity. For example, is anyone interested in playing volleyball this weekend? Or I'm interested in studying psychology. But the interested to do pattern, that is a highly specific. It means that when you experience something, your specific reaction in that moment was finding it interesting. You're absolutely going to want to lock these specific verbs into your memory. Hear, see, know, read, and learn. Interested to acts just like other reaction adjectives, things like surprised to or delighted to. We use interested to almost exclusively when it's paired with these specific sensory or learning verbs. If you wanted to say, I was surprised to see her there, or he was delighted to receive your message, well, the grammar functions exactly the same way here. Let's look at this in action. She was interested to hear that he had moved to Japan. Notice how the verb here directly triggers this exact phrasing. You are describing your immediate reaction to a specific piece of information. Similarly, you could say, I was interested to read about the new scientific discovery, or we would be interested to know your opinion. Using this correctly honestly elevates your English from good to highly precise.
All right, section 4. Sorry, timing is everything. The art of apologizing.
When it comes to apologizing, timing is literally everything. Are you apologizing for something you already did, something you are currently doing, or something you're about to do? If the action is in the rearview mirror, meaning it already happened in the past, you use for doing. For instance, I'm sorry for shouting at you yesterday, or he apologized for being late. But for the present moment or the near future, you use to do. If you're interrupting someone right now, you say, I'm sorry to interrupt you. If you're about to deliver bad news, you say, we're sorry to inform you that the flight is delayed. We also use to do to show sympathy in the present for news we just received, like, I was sorry to hear about your accident. Let's push forward to section 5, essential action patterns, expanding your vocabulary. Now, notice how these paired concepts require completely different prepositions, even though they have really similar meanings. These are patterns that native speakers use all day, every day, and knowing them will instantly elevate your fluency. For a desire, it's want to study abroad, but dream of studying abroad. For outcomes, it's failed to send the email on time, but succeed in sending it eventually. For permission, it's allow him to leave early, but prevent him from leaving early. The meaning is super similar, but the grammatical key that unlocks the phrase is totally different. Taking just a little time to absorb these pairs is going to save you so much hesitation in your everyday conversations. And finally, section 6, the master review, putting it all together. We have covered a lot. Intentional and accidental fears, general and specific interests, the timeline of apologies, and essential action patterns. I want you to walk through this final mental checklist every single time you speak, and you will navigate these patterns flawlessly. Step 1, is your fear intentional, the steering wheel where you use to do, or is it accidental, the flat tire, where you use of doing? Step 2, is your interest a general hobby where you use in doing, or is it a specific reaction to a sense like hearing or reading, where you use to do? And step 3, are you sorry for a past action where you use for doing, or are you sorry for a present or future action where you use to do? You have all done such an amazing job today. So, think about this final question. Are you ready to stop being afraid of making mistakes and start succeeding in English? Apply the rules we just learned to that very sentence, and keep practicing these patterns until they just become second nature. You've got the tools, you understand the logic, now it's just about grabbing that steering wheel. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep on learning.